Get ready for Thailand Gate. Lawfare against the NRA commences. Portland's mayor says rioters attempted murder. Pelosi doesn't give a darn about workers. And Biden cleanup on aisle 5. Welcome, my friends, to the Buck Sexton Show. Honor and a privilege to have you as always. My, oh my. It is August. We are closing in. I'm going to be saying this every day because I can't believe, first of all, this year it all feels like one long day. And second of all, we got an election ahead of us and we're skipping all the usual stuff. We're not having the conventions. We're not having the rallies. It's just countdown days on the calendar until we have some kind of national referendum on whether or not we're going to vote for a senile old man, Democrats tell us, is going to save the republic. Okay. What is the biggest fixation right now of the media? We got some important stuff to talk about today, but I want to start with something that's just more indicative of where our political culture stands at this moment in time. The lib journos, the liberal journalists out there, have been in a state of utter freakout over what President Trump said when he was reading off of a prompter. It was pretty remarkable stuff from them, not from him. People make mistakes reading off a prompter all the time. I can tell you this. It's a skill that people think they have until they try it for the first time. And then they're like reading off the prompter, it's not as easy as you think. People assume. Now, it's not a highly difficult skill. A lot of morons are news anchors, but it's not something you sit down and do the first time and you're good at it. And everyone thinks they will be, and they're not. And I thought it would be easier than it was the first few times I did it. So reading off a prompter, whether you're a politician or a pundit or a news anchor or whatever, is a skill set. People make mistakes, and Trump made a mistake that the media's jumping on. Play clip 18, please.
Shifting production to Thailand and to Vietnam. Thailand and Vietnam, two places that I like their leaders very much. They're very nice to us. Do they take advantage of the United States?
Okay, so the guy read Thailand as Thailand. Who cares, right? These things happen all the time. First of all, after a few drinks, I love going to Thailand. But what's the point of all this? Anything other than what I'm calling the Biden cleanup on aisle 5. Anything other than the focus on what Joe Biden said yesterday. Because here's the difference. Trump read something off of a prompter and mispronounced it, or he just, this is a mistake. It's like when I'm doing live radio for 5 hours a day, which I do, and I stammer or stumble, which is going to happen, right? Happens less with me than a lot of other radio hosts, but it does happen. And that's just the way it is. But what Joe Biden said yesterday about how, unlike the black community, the Latino community has a lot of diverse ideas and opinions. Wow. The problem with Joe Biden saying that is that it was reflective of something that he really thinks. He figures the black community is going to vote 90% Democrat, and it doesn't matter what Joe Biden says. It doesn't matter what promises are made. It doesn't matter. They're going to vote 90% for Joe Biden. That's what he thinks. That's what he was saying. It's like Latino community. It's a little more of a, some on our team, some aren't on our team with the Democrats, and people have different views, and we can't take for granted the Latino vote the way the Democrats can, according to Biden, the black vote. Not a good moment for him. Remember, this is also the guy who told, I believe it was a fellow named Charlemagne, that if you don't vote for me, quote, you. Now he was speaking in the general sense, but Biden said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Was what Joe Biden said, and I want to be very clear about this. Joe Biden is a buffoon and always has been. None of this is new. And unlike Trump actually says things that are insightful. They always talk about, they say, oh, Trump is so dumb. And they make all these comments about how, he's not a reader and he doesn't know anything. Okay, Trump destroyed the Republican opposition in the primary by giving them nicknames that you'd say, that's actually pretty clever. Ever since he called him Little Marco, or ever since he called him, low energy Jeb, it was all over. Trump does have political instincts and abilities that are impressive, which is why he was able to win the presidential election against Hillary Clinton with the entire establishment of both parties, in a sense. I mean, the establishment of the Republican Party was really split. A lot of them didn't want Trump to win. That's why he was able to defeat her. So with Trump, you get, he's a loose cannon, but he's still a cannon. And he still will sometimes have a direct hit on the opposition and say, wow, that was quite a shot. Look what he does with the media. He has single-handedly, and I hope forever, changed our conversation about the national media and its biases and the way that it approaches its job, calling them fake news. Think of all the conservative pundits and websites and everything. Why didn't we start calling them fake news? Well, fake news was actually a reference initially to Russian disinformation that they thought was fooling Trump voters, and then Trump turned it around on them. So Trump has flashes of brilliance in politics. He does. I know libs would all scoff and sneer at that. Yeah, he's the president and Hillary's not. Why is that? Because he does have an ability, right? He can cut through things. When he is over the target, he is like nobody else. And he says the things that we all know in our core are true sometimes, not always. Look, when he's getting into the fights with Mika and Joe and all this stuff, you got to take all the Trump, all the Trump comes together. But Joe has none of that. Does Joe Biden ever say anything and you go, oh, that was really intelligent? Yeah, it's all, it's like I read some notes about it, and I was in, the Chinese foreign policy and, trade, free trade, it's got to be free. And, there's a lot of trade going on with policy. Oh, yes, the foreign policy expert, Joe Biden, just making sense of everything for us. Yeah, man, you got trade, you got free trade, and, come on, man, yeah, trade, yeah. This is what they elevate as so much more intelligent, worthwhile than what you have from President Trump, and it's laughable. So as I've said, Biden's buffoonery is really central to who he is. He says dumb things all the time and never says anything that's not just rote political boilerplate nonsense. It's the stuff that you would expect if you handed a third tier staffer an assignment to write some talking points on something about any policy issue for the Democrats. That's what Biden says. We're all supposed to go, oh, it's so great. And those are going to say, well, at least he won't mispronounce Thailand. Interesting. Was Barack Obama the smartest president in the history of the United States? Democrats will often make the argument that, yes, he was, in fact, the most brilliant, and not just in a political sense or when it comes to his rhetorical skills. They mean his actual intellectual firepower supersedes all presidents before him. That's the belief of many Democrats I've spoken to. They really think that Obama is head and shoulders above all presidents who came before him when it comes to being effectively a genius, that Obama's a genius. Well, here's the genius Obama in 2014 doing the same thing Trump is, reading off of a prompter. Play 19.
He and his wife, Dr. Sharon Malone, a nationally renowned OBGYN, have been great friends to Michelle and me for years.
An OBGYN? The heck's an OBGYN? Oh, you mean he read in a speech OBGYN for obstetrician gynecologist as OBGYN. Made up a new word. It's like, hello, honey, you think it's time to go see the OBGYN? Is our third son coming in a matter of months here? Or, what's going on? The OBGYN. Say, okay, Buck, that's one time. Obama's still the most perfect and brilliant president in the history of our republic. Here's an even better one. I know some of you know what's coming. Play 20.
One such translator was American of Haitian descent, representative of the extraordinary work that our men and women in uniform do all around the world, Navy Corpsman Christian Bouchard. And lying on a gurney aboard the USNS Comfort, a woman asked Christopher, "Where do you come from? What country?" After my operation, she said, "I will pray for that country." And in Creole, Corpsman Bouchard responded, "In Tanzania, the United States of America."
Now, why is this a more interesting prompter, Flub? Because it wasn't a one-time. It wasn't like he just read it, because your eyes can do that. You know, you read something and you just go with it, and then when you say it, you'll change. That's what Trump said, Thailand, and then he said Thailand. Obama read Corman as corpsman once, didn't correct himself, kept going, and then read it as corpsman again, because he doesn't know what a corpsman is. I don't know what else to tell you. Didn't know how to spell it, didn't know what it was. So are we now going to play the game where we act like Trump's the only one who mispronounces things, or that, yeah, he has a very specific way, he has a very unique way of expressing himself sometimes. But with that unique way of expressing himself, the man does have true flashes of political brilliance and insight. He does. I know everyone can laugh at that on the left. Why did he become president again? Because he just says things and communicates in a way that resonates with people. He was a one-man political campaign. It wasn't about endorsements and the machinery and the donations or whatever. It was just Trump. But he says Thailand, and oh, it's hilarious. Ha, ha, ha. He doesn't know anything. Biden, Obama, go back. All presidents have these moments. And perhaps, if anything else, it's a good moment to remind ourselves that politicians are just people doing a job. And we hope they do a good one. Most of them don't. But the game the media is going to play to pretend that all of their criticisms of Trump's intellect and his intellectual curiosity and his ability to read off a prompter, all of those things, they're just, to our recurring conversation about principles, they're going to pretend that none of that applies to Biden because they're frauds and they're hacks. So just get ready for that. So Thailand, Kate, is a thing now. I don't think anybody really is going to remember this on Monday. But it is important to them because it takes attention off of Biden's real gaffe yesterday. And they're now going to go through the 24-hour struggle session in journalism, the 24 hours of, Biden's comments raise questions. Time for introspection because of Biden's comments. When we all know if a Republican had said exactly word for word what Joe Biden said about Democrat voters, racist, get him out, not allowed to be in the public square, person should be ruined forever. But with Joe Biden, it's just Joe. Yeah, it's just Joe, all right. I can't believe we're losing our home that we didn't even sell. That's what Deborah said when she found out that she was the victim of a home title theft, which is a crime that can actually cost you your home. Here's how it works. Your information's online. The bad guys, cyber thieves, they find that information, forge your signature, and then state that you sold your home to them. You often won't find out about this until the eviction notice arrives. Usual identity theft services don't protect you from this. If you want to make sure you're not a victim of this growing crime, you've got to create a virtual barrier around your home's title with Home Title Lock. Go to HomeTitleLock.com, use promo code BUCK to see if you're already a victim of this, and also to get 30 free days of protection. Home Title Lock are the only people I trust to protect you from home title theft. Go to HomeTitleLock.com. Again, HomeTitleLock.com, promo code BUCK. Where is the Trumpster going to accept the Republican nomination, right? That's a thing that has to happen because the Republican convention is not going to happen. We got a pandemic going on. So the president put out there that maybe he's going to just accept it at the White House, maybe on the lawn in front of the White House. And Nancy Pelosi says it's very wrong
for the President of the United States to degrade once again the White House, as he has done over and over again, by saying he's going to completely politicize it, is something that should be rejected out of hand.
Yeah, sure. Sure it will, Nancy. Oh, and others are even more upset. We got a country going through a pandemic, an economy that needs desperately to get up and running again instead of just stumbling along as it has been. And what does, among the biggest frauds in Democrat politics, Kirsten Gillibrand, it's like Hillary, but younger. What does she think needs to happen here? Oh, we need a lecture on how it's a violation of the Hatch Act. Play 8.
I think it's an outrage. President Trump continues to demean his office. He continues to break norms. And if anyone helps him do his speech, it's in violation of the Hatch Act. So he may well be exempt, but again, to misuse federal resources for political gain is something that we do not tolerate and is illegal in many respects. So I hope he does not choose to, again, cross that line, continue to undermine the office of the presidency by doing things that are inappropriate and unethical.
You remember when Obama wore a tan suit, and there were all these jokes about like tan suit gate and how this was a huge. No one really thought that it was a big deal, but there was the pretense that, oh, look at how Republicans make such a huge deal out of Obama wearing a tan suit. No, we didn't. I was alive then. I was covering politics then. I was, maybe a couple of weirdos did, but that's always true about anything. Tan suit gate was the libs projecting onto their opponents the way that they approach things. And now we have this. Well, this has been true all along in the Trump presidency, that there is nothing that is too petty for them, nothing that is not an opportunity for. He's like literally undermining the presidency. He's like literally like undermining it like so much. It's a violation of the Hatch Act. Only libs ever talk about the Hatch Act. I can tell you, it's true when I was in the CIA too. Only the libs in the office were like, "Do you have a Reagan poster in your cubicle? You're not allowed. That's a violation of the Hatch Act." I'm like, There's a president who's dead now. I can't have a Reagan no, you can't. Oh, I don't know. If we could arrange I really mean it. If we could arrange an orderly, safe, and fair national divorce with the psycho libs, I think it would be best for everybody. I really do. We divide up the country in half. They can do all the social justice and blah 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 stuff they want. You know, they can eliminate gender and defund police, and they can all go to one. And then everybody else who believes that there is objective truth and they like law and order and contracts should be honored and, you know, the law should apply to you irrespective of race, ethnicity, skin color, origin, religion, yada, yada. You can go in the other place. That would be great. But I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Be too complicated. Because they need us. They need the Republican mentality, or else they would just devolve into absolute chaos. But we don't get any thanks from them, and instead what we get is it's a violation of the Hatch Act. It's not a violation of the Hatch Act. You want to know? In 1979, Jimmy Carter deemed that a more lavish announcement would not be appropriate amid a crisis in which 50 Americans were being held hostage in Tehran. So he declared that he was running for re-election in a somber 9-minute ceremony in the East Room. As a candidate and as president and as a candidate, I will continue to ask you to join me in looking squarely at the truth. Only by facing up to the world as it is can we lift ourselves towards a better future. Carter's campaign even made ads from the Oval Office. It's from the Washington Post. They're like, Gillibrand, you're not helping. Your analysis here, went to law school, I believe. Your analysis here is so stupid that even we have to say, stop being so dumb.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I need your help. Millions of Americans who believe that the USA is a noble nation are furious about what they're seeing in the streets. They're angry about anarchy being enabled by a dishonest media that is promoting hatred toward America. That's why we launched the Stand Up for Your Country campaign on BillO'Reilly.com. I knew it was going to be big. I didn't know it was going to be this big. We've had hundreds of thousands of signups, and we are flooding the zone with new stickers. Folks love these stickers. But most importantly, we have a philosophy. America is a good country, and we are going to prove that to you night after night. We hope you'll become a premium member on BillO'Reilly.com so you can access everything we do and join the campaign. But if you don't want to do that, just come on in and read what we have. Stand up for your country, because if you do not, we're going to lose it. Check out BillO'Reilly.com and join the campaign.
Team, what have I been telling you all along about the Democrat plan to beat Trump, right? And I know you agree with me, but we need to remind ourselves of this. That they'll do everything, anything, whatever works, doesn't matter, whatever it takes. They will disregard any principle. They will undermine any institution. They will lie to your faces and smile while doing it. Doesn't matter, right? Whatever they got to do, they're going to do. Okay. The Democrat willingness to use prosecutors' offices, the power of prosecutors for political ends, partisan political ends, right? Trying to defeat their political opponents, is really one of the most troubling trends in America today, honestly, because this starts to pull apart at the very foundational sense that we all have, that there should be something, there are some things that are above politics. If your police and justice system are not above the partisan rancor and the weaponization of weaponization against your political opponents, you start to devolve very quickly. And you get closer to what you have in a lot of other countries, what we used to call the third world, where whoever's in charge of the security apparatus uses it against the political opposition. Even if they say they're having elections, they will go out, they'll arrest key fundraisers, they'll imprison key opposition figures, they'll do but we still have a democracy, right? That's, once you have that, you no longer have a democracy. You have a make-believe democracy. Now, we're not quite there yet. Obviously, the president's a Republican. I'm not trying to exaggerate the situation, but that is where the slippery slope leads. That is what eventually happens when you have the use of prosecutors' offices as a tool of partisan politics. And I've been telling you all along, they're gonna bring back everything that they've done in the past against Trump. You're going to see it once more. You're going to see the accusations of sexual assault that never went anywhere and had no substantiation. You're going to see they'll probably start playing the Billy Bush tape again. They're gonna play the Charlottesville, good people on both sides lie. He didn't say that the neo-Nazis were good, but they're going to take the clip out of context and try to suggest that Trump likes white nationalists. Everything that we've been through comes back again. And on top of it, Trump is responsible for all of COVID. And, we understand this is what they're, because what are they offering in as an alternative? Joe Biden? Joe Biden? Yeah, man, I'm an alternative, man. Don't be a junkie. Oh, yeah. Okay. So we know that this is an opportunity as well for any Democrat who has aspirations of higher office, any Democrat who wants to use their current position to elevate themselves in the national conversation in preparation for a latter position, right? We know that this is an opportunity for them. And so with that in mind, we have the announcement of New York Attorney General Letitia James, who has filed a lawsuit against the National Rifle Association, the NRA. Play clip 1.
Just a few minutes ago, my office filed a lawsuit against the National Rifle Association to dissolve the organization in its entirety for years of self-dealing and illegal conduct that violate New York's charities law and undermine its own mission.
To dissolve the NRA. Let's understand this. Her allegation here, and I will say, I've heard some stuff about the NRA leadership that is not so good? I have heard from people. Now, I don't know. I've never had any interaction with it. Most interaction I've ever had with the NRA is getting my, NRA membership card in the mail in the past, right? I'm sending them some money. I don't even know if I'm still a member. I'm probably not. I think my NRA dues have lapsed. I'm sorry to tell you. See, I tell you the truth, but I definitely have been an NRA member in the past. I think that there might have been, I don't know, some unethical behavior from some of the leadership there, but I don't know. But I hear some of the stuff, and I say, for a nonprofit, maybe it's a little bit egregious. I don't know. But you're going to dissolve the whole... Think about this. She's not saying that, oh, guys, the NRA, which is a lawfully constituted nonprofit group for a major issue of American policy, has had some people that are abusing it, and we want to get rid of that so that the rest of the NRA organization can continue to operate in its lawful function and mission. That's not what she's saying. She's saying, I want to get rid of the whole thing. I want to bring the whole thing down, dissolve it. There is no more NRA. Now, let me just start with, I don't think she's going to be successful in this. But put aside what the facts of this case are at this point in time. The NRA has come back, of course, and said this is an absolute nonsense. It's not true. And they're on offense. President Trump has this to say about the NRA. Play 10.
I just heard about that. That's a very terrible thing that just happened. I think the NRA should move to Texas and lead a very good and beautiful life. And I've told them that for a long time. I think they should move to Texas. Texas would be a great place, or to another state of their choosing. But I would say that Texas would be a great place and an appropriate place for the NRA. This has been going on for a long time. They've been absolutely decimated by the cost of that lawsuit. And it's very sad, but I would suggest that that's what they should be doing.
Texas as a home for the NRA sounds like a good idea to me, but this is now going to result in huge amounts of legal fees, and what you have are the endless coffers, at least for lawyers' purposes, at the New York State Attorney General's office to just sue, and the government's lawyers get paid just for showing up. And they need more money, they just take it from the taxpayer, right? The government's lawyers, they don't care. They don't have to win. All they have to do is bring the suit. And Letitia James looks like a hero. I will say this about it. The timing of this seems pretty convenient, doesn't it? She's been attacking the NRA for years, and here we are, right at the leap, in a sense, into the final lap of the presidential election. And it's not just the presidential election, right? There are congressional elections all over the country. Election day, 2020, baby. It's going to be big. It's going to be huge. And Letitia James brings a lawsuit to dissolve the NRA. Gosh, I wonder if her own political biases influenced her as a prosecutor to bring this at this time. Can we think this one through a little bit? Couldn't be any more obvious, right? Couldn't be any more clear what is going on here. We're very aware that this is a circumstance of obvious partisan targeting. But she's going to end up a winner in this whole thing. Not that she's going to win the suit to dissolve the NRA, but now she's a hero to the left. And you go back at previous occupants of the office she has as New York Attorney General, Eliot Spitzer, among the most odious figures in American politics of the last 30 years or so. Eric Schneiderman, a Me Too hero, big hero to the Me Too movement, until it turned out that he was a Me Too disaster himself. So the New York Attorney General has certainly had some unethical lib Democrat partisans in the past, but this is what we should expect. This is not the only one. The ACLU, as of this week, is estimated to have launched 400 lawsuits against the Trump administration or an issue of Trump policy. 400 lawsuits. This is lawfare. It doesn't matter how frivolous they are. It doesn't matter that they won't win or that it's bad faith. The more bad faith, the better. It just shows the other side what you're willing to do, the lengths you're willing to go to, and the kind of firepower when it comes to the legal system that you have. The money you're willing to burn. They will try to bury the administration under paperwork if they can. Now, it's not going to work, but they're trying. That's the whole point of this. That's the purpose of this. And there have been some victories. There was the ACLU pushed for excluding the citizenship question off the census, right? So there have been areas where they've been able to stop the administration, to defeat the administration, which is, I mean, I deeply disagree with the citizenship question thing. That was decided on, well, we don't like Trump's he should be able to do it, but we don't like his reasoning on it. You know, the contortions that we've seen in law that are really just fancy ways of saying orange man bad, I don't like Trump, have been mind-blowing. And I think we've also recognized when even Mike Pence is calling you out as a judge, as a Supreme Court justice, there's something wrong here. Play clip 17.
We have great respect for the institution of the Supreme Court of the United States. But Chief Justice John Roberts has been a disappointment to conservatives, whether it be the Obamacare decision or whether it be a spate of recent decisions all the way through Calvary Chapel. It's a reminder, and I think several cases out of the Supreme Court are a reminder of just how important this election is for the future of the Supreme Court.
Yep. All true. All true. John Roberts is a disappointment to conservatives. So there you have it, my friends. I think in part that results from the fact that Roberts doesn't like Trump and he can't help himself. Even people that are supposed to be above the fray, prosecutors, judges, orange man bad is such a widespread mental illness in this country. It influences so much of people's judgment, of their view of things, their perspective, that at the very top of the heap of those in government who are supposed to be above that, we are seeing they are not.
Joe Biden this morning totally disparaged and insulted the black community. What he said is incredible, and I don't know what's going on with him, but it was a very insulting statement he made, and I guess you'll figure that out. You'll see it in a little while, but it was a great insult to the black community.
I don't think anybody can really disagree with that statement. It was insulting, but it's also more evidence because we're not even going to be told. The media you will not see any news stories about this by Monday, really within 24 hours. Today is clean up on Biden aisle 5. That's all they're trying to do. That's the whole purpose of this. Oh, and also Thailand gate, right? Oh, the president said Thailand. Hee, hilarious. That's what's going to end up happening. But there are some very important differences that you would have if Biden were president today. And I think that's one way to understand what we're really seeing, and that's one way to view the current situation. Biden, not just if he becomes president, but let's say Biden were in the role right now, what would be happening in this country? And here's the one that just, for me, is a reminder of how catastrophic this guy would be. Play clip 5.
So based on what you see now, would you roll back the reopenings?
I'm not going to speculate on that because I don't know
based on what you see now.
Be. What I see now, I think we are. If I were president, if I were president today, I would roll back the reopenings in a number of places because look, it's clear, mask and social distancing make a gigantic difference in terms of the spread of this disease.
They're never going to stop. Lockdown Biden, they're never going to. If only we masked and social distance. We can't do that forever. That's not life. That's not society. You can't do this forever. We all agreed from the beginning that was crazy. And now this is what Democrats say we should be doing all the time. When they say social distance, There's a world of difference between. I mean, I went in my elevator in my building yesterday. I live in a large building with hundreds and hundreds of residents. Elevator in my building, and they have spots in the elevator. You stand here. You stand here. This is becoming like a mental disorder. No one's paying attention to the spots on the floor in the elevator, and there's no science to back up that if you're in an elevator with somebody and you're an extra 6 inches away from them, you're not going to be exposed to this virus. This is crazy. But this is what we're being told by people who just, there was the movie Forgetting Sarah Marshall. It's a Friday, so I'm going to lean into this one for a second. There's the movie Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and it's a very good movie. I like it. I mean, it's a little crass, and some of you, it's definitely not for kids, so 18 plus only. But I think it's a funny movie. I enjoy it, and it's the only good thing I've ever seen that guy Russell Brand in. Everything else I've ever seen him do is horrible, unfunny, and bad. But he's actually funny in that movie, and he plays a British rock star, pop star, whatever. And there's a whole song that I think is a kind of a gentle jab at liberals. It's just, we're going to do something. We're going to do something. It's like, yeah, that's what we've come down to. We're just going to do something. Why aren't we doing something about this? We've done all these things that we're told to do. California has been mask central for a long time. Huge spike in coronavirus cases there. The disease is spreading all over the place. The virus spreads all over the place. We don't have a good mechanism to prevent this virus from generally spreading. The best thing we could do, if you're actually looking at data, is to really, not just social distance, to really separate out and protect and defend those who are at highest risk while the rest of us get to herd immunity. That's it. The only alternative to that is all this make-believe science about how if we just listen more and we're going to wait for a vaccine. The lockdown libs, they never retest their assumptions. There was a time when I totally went along with it. I was going out of my apartment here. I had a mask on all the time, and I had the hands. This is the early days of the pandemic in New York, and I had the hand sanitizer bottle stuff, and I was all ready to go. I was doing all the things they told me. And everyone I knew was doing the same thing, and the virus just ripped through New York. Cases, and for months, we went through a 6 to 8 week phase of just the virus spread, the virus came down. Didn't matter that we were social distancing, lockdown. The virus has a within a week, really, if you have it or not. I mean, they say 14 days of quarantine, but we should have, every 2 weeks, you should be going through a new cycle of infection and see where you are, and the infections kept getting worse and worse and worse. How can the infections be getting worse and worse for 90 days almost when you are told that there's a total lockdown and everyone's wearing masks? They don't even try to answer this.